So organs of speech, while ma'am, Dr. Hira Irshad was talking, she has already referred to most of the organs of speech. But through this presentation, I'm just going to acquaint you with each and every organ of speech and the role that it plays in the speech mechanism. So already ma'am has explained to you the branches and how just based on those branches, we also have the organs of speech which are functioning under three systems. And these systems are respiratory, phonatory, and articulatory system. If I ask you all, is there any energy involved in the speech mechanism? Can you answer this?
Airstream.
Yes, airstream. Okay, so have a close look on this diagram, and please, I will keep showing you diagrams every now and then, because for your question, for your exams, you might get a question where you will have to even draw a diagram. डरना नहीं है, थोड़ा सा ही है, थोड़ी सी practice करोगे तो you will be okay at it, right? So if while having a look at this diagram, you can see the organs and the processes, which are involved, right? So the articulatory process is covering a few organs, the phonation is covering a few organs, and the energy, what is the energy? It is the air because of which we can speak. And where do we get that air from? We get it from our
Lungs.
correct. So the respiratory system has lungs, the muscles of the chest, and the windpipe, which is also known as trachea, right? So again, the next picture that you see on your screen is showing you the lungs, the bronchus, the diaphragm. Now, why particularly that diaphragm has been shown in addition to all the organs of speech? Because किसी का microphone on है, please mute कर लो. Aggressive. What do we do with our lungs? What do we do with our lungs? What are the processes, two processes of respiration known as?
Ma'am, to inhale and to exhale.
Exhale.
Very good. Inhalation and exhalation. So most of the times, the sounds that we are producing are a result of the aggressive air stream coming out of the lungs. So the lungs are not only simply performing the action of breathing or respiration, the two processes involved, exhalation and inhalation, are the pumping energy which provide us the necessary air stream for the production of sounds. And the airstream mechanism involved in the production of sounds is referred to as the pulmonic aggressive airstream. Most of you must be acquainted with this term pulmonic. Pulmonic means lungs. And what does aggressive means? Aggressive means the airstream that goes out of the lungs. Can you give me the opposite of aggressive? Anyone who can give the opposite of aggressive?
Ingressive.
Very good. So we have the sounds being produced with this airstream, the pulmonic aggressive airstream, right? Again, the muscles of the chest and the windpipe are involved in this process of respiration. Another diagram before you is again clearly indicating the organs of speech. Can one of you just read out these names, organs, before we actually start talking about these and their function?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Nose.
Okay.
Upper lip.
Yes.
Lower lip.
Yes.
Upper teeth.
Yes.
Lower teeth.
Okay.
Alveolar ridge, tongue,
Alveolar. Yeah. Hmm.
alveolar ridge,
Hmm.
tongue,
Hmm.
hard palate,
Yes.
pharynx,
Yes.
soft palate,
Okay. Soft palate is also known as vellum.
vellum.
So again, this is another presentation of the same thing. Just to reiterate and make you clear about the speech organs, can any one of you find out some additional difference which is there in this diagram vis-a-vis in contrast to the diagram that you saw earlier?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, can you just need? Yes.
Ma'am, that the previous diagram was showing the very specific of the organs, but this diagram is showing much detailed description of the organs. For example, the tip, blade,
Very
and
good.
front back
Very
of
good.
the under, and then the trachea, esophagus, and larynx. The voice box we also say, which is
Yes.
also participation in the recitation of the words or what we say.
So this is more illustrative. This was like a general acquaintance with the organs of speech, where you have some active and passive articulators, which I'll talk about later. But here you have minute details even of the tongue. How? Because in the coming sessions, you will learn about the International Phonetic Alphabet and the vowel and the consonant sounds, how the tip, blade, front, and back of the tongue also play an instrumental role in producing the numerous sounds that we human beings can do, right? In comparison to the animals or any other species. So the second system which is involved is the phonatory system, and this constitutes the larynx and the vocal cords. And the air stream, before it gets pushed out of the lungs, it goes several modifications in the larynx and the vocal cords. आई होप यू आर familiar with this word larynx. बचपन में शायद जब आपको पढ़ाया गया होगा तो वो कई बार टीचर बोलता है कि अपने थ्रोट पे हाथ रख के देखो, राइट? सो व्हेन यू जस्ट पुट योर finger on the front part of your throat or the upper part of your trachea, this is something which is known as the larynx. It is a bony box like structure, also called Adam's apple. So, kindly mute yourself. The vocal cords are pair of lip-like structure inside the larynx, and these cords are placed horizontally from front to the back, and they are joined at the front and separated at the back. They can have a large number of positions. Because of the large number of positions that the vocal cords, I will share another video with you, which you can just go through. How, maybe if you have already studied phonetics to some extent, you know that how these vocal cords move in order to produce the voiced and the voiceless sounds. Again, this constitutes the three positions of the vocal cords, which could be a very important question, a 5 marker. You could get a full 15 marker on the organs of speech. You could get 5 markers on different organs of the speech. So vocal cords are usually drawn apart. This is a normal position during the breathing, but the airstream can pass freely without setting the vocal cords into vibration. When the airstream passes freely without vibrating the vocal cords, the sounds produced are known as the voiceless sounds. For example, the word cat, fat, chat, top, sheet, seat. So there is a wide opening between the vocal cords, which is called the glottis. So please remember all the organs. When the vocal cords are held together, then the air stream will set the vocal cords into vibration and you will hear a humming sound. And when this happens, the types of sounds that are produced are known as the voiced sounds. For example, if you just place your finger on your throat, you can feel this. These sounds: red, men, dead, bed, let, nest, then, jump, zoo, yellow, well. So these are the voice sounds. And how are the voice sounds produced? These are produced when the vocal cords are held loosely together. Okay, the third position, when the vocal cords are held tightly together, what happens? The glottis will close and no air can escape. So, when the vocal cords are held tightly together, they are closed, the air stream gets stopped for some while. So, this complete closure of the airstream for some time will produce an explosive sound. And this is like a glottal. You will study about the glottal when takes the consonant, the vowel sounds. So, for example, the word lip, shut, sick. The third part where the organs of speech can be found is the articulatory system, and you have a good number of 9 organs of speech in the articulatory system. These are, कौन पढ़ेगा? जसनीत ने already पढ़ा. Someone else?
The lips, the
Yes,
teeth,
yes,
the alveolar ridge,
yes.
the hard palate, and the
Okay,
soft palate.
okay. Read on.
The uvula,
Yes,
the tongue,
yes.
the
Pharynx,
rhinx,
pharynx.
pharynx, and the glottis.
So all these 9 organs together, what are these? The lips, the teeth, the alveolar ridge, the hard palate, the soft palate, also known as velum. Yes, uvula, tongue, pharynx, and glottis constitute the articulatory system. Again, here's a picture which is showing you the flow, and also is probably, I think, I don't think you can read this properly, but I definitely will upload this PPT also in the LMS, so that you can make use of this. Like, this is a very comprehensively done, and you can just focus on this as you prepare for your exam, right? So this will be there in your LMS. Having talked about the organs of speech, you also need to know that we can categorize these as active articulators and passive articulators. Any guesses, or anyone who has already read about the articulators, can you distinguish the active and the passive articulators? What are these? The words themselves are explanatory. Active articulator means those organs of speech which can move from one position to the other, and the rest are the ones which cannot move. So the organs of speech which are actively involved and are moving from one position to another are referred to as the active articulators, and the others which do not move, against which the active articulators make a movement, are known as the passive articulators.
Ma'am,
So,
please can you repeat it?
yeah, the active articulators are those organs of speech which move from their position of rest to articulate against other organs of the speech that cannot move. And what are these organs which cannot move? They are the passive articulators. If you see, and the emboldened line, the last one in on this slide, the active articulators, where do you locate them? They are in the lower jaw, and the passive articulators are mostly in the upper jaw, right? So, example, when you are producing the sounds of t, d, n, s, the tip and blade of the tongue is moving from one position to the alveolar ridge. So, the tip and blade of the tongue become the active, actually are the active articulators, and the alveolar ridge in the upper jaw is a passive one. I hope you have been able to understand the active passive articulators and the difference between these, because again this is a very popular and a very commonly asked question. I hope this is clear. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, we move on
Yes, ma'am.
to the lips. How the upper and the lower lips play an important role in production of the speech, especially the production of the vowel sounds by the closure of the lips and then, releasing of the closure, right? So again, these would be taken up in detail on the day 3 and 4 of the workshop. So please acquaint yourself with all the sounds, the IPA board that I had shared with you, because we are going to talk about the international phonetic alphabets, in the next session, that is tomorrow. So the lips can either be protruding, they could be rounded, they could spread, neutral. Just a few minutes ago, you were shown a video where the alphabets, were being taught, and you saw how the lips are changing position in order to make certain sounds. So again, the teeth, certain consonants are produced with the help of teeth by putting the tongue in between the front teeth. Someone's microphone is on, please mute yourself. These are called the interdental fricatives. Think this is that. Then by pressing of the lower lip with the upper front teeth, and such kind of sounds, consonant sounds, are known as the labiodental fricatives. Again, details will be taken up on day 3 of the session. The alveolar ridge, again, you have already seen the diagrams, is located just behind the upper front teeth and makes some consonant sounds like t, d, n, l, s, z. The movement of the tongue, tip or blade touching the alveolar produces the sounds like lo, no. Making a complete closure by the tip of the tongue and the alveolar ridge, again, followed by a sudden release of the closure, produces sounds like t, d. Narrowing of the passage of air at the alveolar ridge and forcing the air out through this passage produces sounds like s, z. The hard palate, again, is the bony surface, the roof of your mouth, which is immediately after the alveolar ridge. It is not movable again. So what kind of an articulator is it? Is the hard palate an active articulator or passive articulator?
Passive, ma'am.
Okay. So the front part of the tongue, is moving towards the hard palate when you say yes. The soft palate or velum, again, the soft and the movable part of the roof of the mouth, which is immediately after the hard palate. So you have the alveolar ridge, you have the hard palate, then you have the soft palate or the velum. So the velum is dropped and the back of the tongue makes a closure. The sounds produced in this manner are called velar sounds. For example, king. The velum, again, sorry, just a second. The the velum, when it raises itself and makes a closure with the back wall of the pharynx, which is again, it will give rise to sounds produced by the bellic closure. For example, the word go. All right, we move on to the uvula. Again, a small fleshy pendant structure at the very end of the soft palate. The back of the tongue articulates with the uvula to produce the k sound, as in the Persian words. Tongue, again, is the most important single organ of speech. Many languages refer to the word tongue, it means language. So it is flexible, it can make a large number of speech sounds. The different parts of the tongue involved in the speech mechanism are the tip, blade, front, center, back, dorsum, apex, and the rims. So again, the tip, when the tongue is in the state of rest, it is behind the lower front teeth. This is, I mean, again, a theoretical description of the parts of the tongue. The blade is just opposite to the alveolar ridge. The front faces the hard palate. The back is opposite side of the soft palate. The center again is the back and front of the tongue where they are meeting each other. So half of it faces the hard palate, half of it faces the soft palate. What is the dorsum? The dorsum is the whole upper part of the tongue. What is the apex? It's the tip blade ridge of the tongue. Rims, what are the rims? These are the edges of the tongue. So the movement of the tongue, again, whether the tip blade getting in contact with the alveolar is producing a number of sounds. The front of the tongue may also be raised towards the hard palate. For example, in words like yet, unit, see. The back of the tongue makes a contact with the soft palate to make sounds or produce words like kill, girl. We talked about the pharynx, and you saw that even in two of the diagrams. Now, what is this pharynx? This is a tube-like structure above the larynx before the uvula. So, it is divided into two parts. One part goes to the oral cavity, and the other one goes to the nasal cavity. So, the cavity of the pharynx is also known as the pharyngeal cavity. The contraction and expansion of muscles of the pharynx, the movement of the tongue, the position of the soft palate, raising and lowering of the larynx, this is all happening in coordination to produce certain sounds. The glottis. Now, what is this glottis? Is, if you remember, mentioned earlier, is the space between the vocal cords. So there is going to be some kind of a rapid closing and opening of the glottis, or when the air stream gets trapped behind it with the sudden release of air and makes the glottal stop sounds. The oral and the nasal cavities, also are taking part in the production of speech. The air is getting pushed by the lungs. It is traveling through the mouth, which is carried to the oral cavity or through the nasal cavity in order to produce certain sounds. So all in all, this is just a summarizing of what we have already talked about and discussed, how the whole speech process with the help of speech organs is carried out in human beings. Thank you very much. I hope this session builds your understanding about the organs of speech, and you were able to attempt the question in a proper manner. Any one of you who logged in with the device, which is not having a full name, needs to have your full name so that we can record the attendance. Also, the feedback forms will be shared with you maybe tomorrow. Please kindly switch on your videos so that we can take a photograph of the session. Switch on your videos, please. And I hope you have already gone through the content and will again go through the content so that you are you can very easily attempt the questions that you get. And as explained earlier, if you are attempting these questions correctly, you get full marks, especially these technical things, the organs of speech or the phonetic transcription that we are going to do, or the consonant and the vowel sounds that we are going to do. Because these are mathematical marks that you will get, right? And additionally, whenever you have to attempt a question with respect to any of the topics that is being taken up, please support it with illustrations. That is going to fetch you more marks. ठीक है जसनीत? Rubina?
Ma'am.
Yeah. So I hope this is okay. If you wish to, any observations? Thank you, Dr. Deepshika, for having connected today. And hope everyone was benefited. Okay, Naresh, what are you saying? Okay, I just made a mention. Oh my God. Naresh is saying, okay. So that is why I was saying that we should have one offline session. Last year also we had online session, but we had a number of experts. We had the workshop on linguistics, phonetics, and communication skills. I've already spoken about the communication skills. I have shared my video lectures on the concepts of linguistics with you already. So I thought that phonetics needs a thorough study. Therefore, we conceptualized this workshop. Thank you for joining the session. Whenever the feedback form is shared, it will be shared in the chat box only, right? Make a point that you fill that out so that the additional benefit is that you are not only completing your syllabus, you are not only revising your syllabus, but you additionally you're getting a benefit of the certificate which will enhance your profile, right? Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank
So
you,
we
ma'am.
will connect at 2:30
Goodbye.
p.m. again tomorrow. Yes. Anji, Aman, you want to say something? Okay, thank you, students. Thank you so much. Thank you. All the participants connecting from the LSEs and other organizations, I also thank them for having connected today. Thank you very much. Okay.